This is going to be really short today, maybe 5 or 10 minutes max. And if you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat. So anyone who has created a new project lately, you see that we have a couple new things down. Project settings. As we work to do more project management settings, this will expand a little bit more. Any kind of tracking number and due dates and sensitivity, if you've played with those at all, those are working really well to either get down to, granular sensitivity when it comes to consonants at the end of words, or relaxing so it doesn't show so much for emotional dialogue. And we've also got this noise detection that you can turn on or off. And all it does right now is it checks for hard clipping. So if something that you upload to Pozotron hits 0.0, then it'll tell you. It'll give you a little mark that says clipping. We made the disabled thing here because one of the first projects that came on after it was enabled automatically, there were 300 clips. And the client said, "What did you do to me?" So now you can turn it off. When you do upload, this is what it's beginning to look like. We made a new improvement so you can make the project details go up and down. Eventually, it's on our roadmap sooner than later that this narration task, editing task, and proofing task, these numbers will go up automatically as you're working through it. And as you complete pieces of it, it'll automatically tag people or send people emails further down the line if you're working in kind of production line format. So we have some really neat mock-ups of what that's going to look like. If anyone hasn't seen these project settings, Jeff, I know you had not seen this gear before. There's some nested menu items down here for archiving projects or chapters, marking all of your annotations fixed at the same time, clearing all of your imported annotations. For example, if you brought it in from Pro Tools, I think, Emma, you do some importing too. If you ever import it wrong, you can clear all of those. And then if you ever have a training project, you can reset your entire project here. Any questions about that stuff? Those are all kind of things that we've streamlined recently. No questions. All right. So the next phase, this is what it's starting to look like right when you upload audio. So the re-upload icon is getting smarter. If you hover over that, it says this chapter's been flagged by Pozotron as a re-upload. So you're automatically credited for 50%. If you ever do re-upload something and it doesn't give you that credit, and it should, just let us know. The status bar is getting better and more accurate, and this is clearer as to what is expected of what you're doing. Edit project. Oh, that's new. So this is nice. This is the beginning of some of the project management tools. So you can add customer data, internal due dates, the status of the project. Very cool. So the devs have been working on this. And you can move these manually right now, but it will be automatic eventually. And you can also put notes in here. Nice job, devs. So that's some good new things. And what all this is starting to look like when it's finished or getting closer to done. After you check through all of the packet materials and work through the pronunciation guide, we're also working on getting change with Forvo. So you can say if you want male or female voices, or if you want Spanish accents or British accents. Adam's working on figuring out how you can decide what you want Forvo to give you back. It still doesn't give phonetics, but when it's ready, it'll give you back what you request as playback when you use Forvo as your default dictionary. So that's kind of neat. And if you do want to change the dictionary that this comes from, for example, if you wanted to, so right now it's Oxford, US. If you wanted to change it to Oxford, Great Britain, when you switch that dictionary over and reset it, now it looks in the Great Britain dictionary. So all of this stuff is kind of working through to customize your experience with the pronunciation guide. These little bubbles here say that 21 of your words are finished, everything's in there. One of them has audio only, one of them has spelling only, and 6 of them are incomplete. So this is a way to quickly run through your pronunciation guide and see how much information that you've put in for all of them. And the last thing I have to show you today is what the character voices guide is starting to look like as you go through and complete it. And I think one of the biggest nice features to come through is this idea that you can put pictures here now, and it can really kind of color how you feel about the character. So depending, I know people have different ways of determining character voices and descriptions and notes as they go along. But if you kind of use this as a mood board, okay, well, this is Gatsby. This is the person that I want to be reminded of when I'm either making the character description for the first time or going through and telling the proofer what to look for. And you can blow these up a little bit in this baseball card view. And this is really going to be neat when we clean it up just a little bit more. And eventually you won't have to come to Pozotron to get this. We'll have a downloadable PDF packet. So any work that you've done with vocal samples, pictures, and things like that, you'll be able to download in a nice little packet. So that's a big chunk of what we've finished. And I think that's pretty much everything that people asked for in the past year. Adam's got a ton of stuff that we're working on doing next. The project management software, more noise detection software. Roman started working on being able to record pickups directly into Pozotron. That's going to be really cool when it happens. But the really short demonstration here, this is what everybody's been asking for, this kind of collaborative, everything's working how it should. Scan occurrences, if you haven't used it yet since it's been uploaded, since it's been updated, you can now scan for all of Rosaline, right? It finds all of them in the audio.
Rosaline? Valerie takes Rosaline's hand.
Plays them back for you. You can pick which ones are inconsistent and then either get the exported marker locations or annotate them back in the main proofing page. So tons of small updates that make a big difference depending on where you are in your workflow. But that's kind of it for me. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy out there, one at a time. So it continuously plays all those. So for this one right here,
Rosaline?
I'm not touching anything.
Takes Rosaline's hand. Rosaline's distance traveled was forever.
So it's pretty neat.
Valerie had taken Rosaline to the...
And I think you can even scan, yep, you can scan up here now, and it shows you where you are on the list. That was actually something that was requested. So you can see the little speaker moving. I don't think you can click down here yet. Yes, your hands are free to tend to your beer or whiskey. We are going to do something eventually where if you have a longer list, this playback will be sticky up at the top so it stays somewhere visible. For example, if you have 200 of these, you might not be sure where you're at, but we're working on that. And if you have 200 of these, you probably do need. Any other questions? Yeah, it's nice to see you all here. Let's see, can there be a disable phonetics button that stops the pause from entering phonetic? That's a good question. I'm going to say we can make that. So if you guys can't see, Jeff said, can there be a disable phonetics button that stops the pause from entering phonetics and stops people from adding phonetics? So depending on what your workflow is, you may or may not want phonetics in the first place. And you may or may not want people to be able to adjust them when you share them. I know we have permissions set up for some of that, but I'm sure we can finish that request right there. How many research sources currently? So in the pronunciation guide, There is Oxford US, Oxford Great Britain, and Forvo. We'll be adjusting Forvo soon. And you can also always click over here on Merriam-Webster, Forvo, OneLook, or Youglish. And OneLook's been a huge saver for a lot of people because it opens up all of the dictionaries it can find. I think that answers your question. OneLook is awesome. The narrator told me about that probably 2 months ago. And since then, I've been sharing it with everyone. Probably 3/4 of the people that I've talked to had never heard of it before. So that was a good piece of feedback we got. Merriam-Webster is the go-to for all of the publishers, I think. Is that right, Jeff? I know it always was for me. Of DAW imports. That's in the roadmap. I don't know if that got folded into the project management plans. I will bubble that back up, Emma, because I know somebody was working on it. For those of you who haven't used the downloads, the individual downloads, by the way, from here, this little hamburger menu allows you to download audio from a single chapter, archive a single chapter, or export a single chapter worth of DAW markers, or a pickup packet, or a proofing report. So we've kind of opened that up as far as what's available either as a whole book or an individual chapter. Emma's asking kind of for the reverse of this. I swear there's a way to figure that out, though. Good questions. Well, yep. Everybody keep your brains on straight. And I will see you all at the next webinar or at APAC.